this is what we've been waiting for, is to get this opportunity to play for this state championship. And now we're here. But he's had a couple big runs this season for us. But it was a great job at the point of attack of our offensive line.
Franchini, play fake, looking, going deep. Tyson's open, pitch and catch, touchdown.
Right now, it's whatever it takes.
This is the Chuck Smith Show on Cape Atlantic Live, presented by Ulmer's Appliance Service. Now, here's Coach Smith and your host, Nick Kosko.
It's the Chuck Smith Show right here on Cape Atlantic Live, presented by Ulmer's Appliance Service. I'm your host, Nick Kosko, and with me every week is Mainland head coach Chuck Smith. Coach, fresh off another victory, 48-13 over Holmdel. You guys advanced to the sectional finals in Group 3, but overall, it's the third straight year in a sectional final. Just, again, another tremendous performance out of you guys, really limiting a high-powered offense. Here we are again, one of the final 8 teams here in Group 3.
Yeah, it was a great win Friday night at the Mustang Corral for the kids. It really came out with a lot of energy. We needed that to go against a very good and well-coached Holmdel team. And the kids put it all together, and played a tremendous first half that really put the game out, reached by halftime. And, one of our preseason goals was to get to the sectional finals. And now we have a chance at least to win another sectional title.
Yeah, going back to 2022, you guys were Group 4 sectional champions. I believe it was a Central Jersey title, which, we won't talk about that. Sectional champs, so we'll give you. So, and of course, the state championship last year. But in Group 3 this year, as we've said all season long, the defense really came to play. I know we talked about last week trying to stop their quarterback, Jack Cannon, because he was an ultimate dual-threat quarterback. You guys saw that on film. 36 total touchdowns coming into the game. Really thwarted them, moved them out of the pocket, then eventually contained them and really just slowed down that offense. How'd you guys manage that compared to, you go back to the first round game against Barnegat where they scored on that opening drive and you guys had to respond? What was the message going into those opening series of the game?
Yeah, our game plan defensively was really to negate their run attack. If they had to throw the ball, they had to throw the ball. But we needed to stop the run game. The week before against Oakcrest, the quarterback, who tremendous athlete, really good quarterback, had 5 touchdown runs. Their halfback, number 22, had a ton of big runs and really hit the hole hard. And we were really concerned with the run game. So that was a major emphasis of our game planning defensively the entire week, was to nullify that run attack and force them to pass the ball. And it worked out really well. I think we held them to 62 yards total rushing in the game. They had like 150, I think, passing, 155, something like that. But we're okay with that because we really wanted to eliminate that run game, because it was a scary thing to go into the game, watching them during the season, how potent the running game was, 1,000-yard rusher or quarterback, and the other running back was very good too. But the kids did a nice job executing the game plan.
Yeah, it's Matt Iulo, very talented running back for Holmdel. You guys really did contain him. As far as what you guys did offensively, of course, Rocco DiBiaso had one of his best games of the year. It seems like we're saying that over the last couple of weeks now that he's almost returned to full. I mean, nobody's fully healthy, but he's returned closer to full health, so he had a heck of a game. Jake Blum made a little history, over 1,000 yards this season. I believe the first time in Mainland history that a receiver in a single year went over 1,000 yards, right?
Yes, yeah, 1,000. I think he's 1,002 right now. And, you think about all the great players that played at Mainland over the years, and I was fortunate enough to coach a lot of those guys. But, even when we were pass happy as in a spread team and we were throwing the ball a lot, none of those guys ever went over 1,000. They didn't even come close to it. I think the highest was 800 and some yards over the course of like 12 games. Mm-hmm. And for Jake to do that in the time that he's been is really a tribute to him, and also the pass protection scheme and our quarterback, John Franchini, doing a tremendous job there. But yeah, the offense really clicked the other night, and a lot of it was revolved around Rocco. We gave the ball to him 20 times. It's the most carries any of our running backs have had this year in a single game. Rocco is back to being 100% healthy. He was dinged up through the season, injury nagging him here and there. Didn't really play a lot of offense in a few games, but he's the Rocco that was there back in August and September. And thank God we have him at this time of the year back to full health, because he's a force to be reckoned with when he's carrying that football. He's a strong back with breakaway speed like we saw the other night. Mm-hmm. And it really helps to complement the entire run game, because, anybody knows us, knows we like to be a 3-headed rushing attack, and, mixed in with our quarterback play. But, you need that one guy, just like we've had in the past. and Rocco's been that guy the past few weeks.
And he's been huge on defense again, especially once he got, I believe it was a few weeks ago where he came back into the lineup. He was only playing a little bit of defense, and then you got him mixed in back on the offensive side of things, carrying the football. Now that he's playing both ways again at such a high level, it seems like he really makes that defense go, almost captaining the defense from that linebacker position. Obviously, it helps when your defensive line got a tremendous push on Friday night.
Yeah, our defensive front makes the job for our linebackers a lot easier. It's like an unsung part of our defense, between Dan DeFeo, Ethan Schock, TJ McBall, and Matt Mewitz. Our coaching staff does a good job of rotating those guys around. They don't always pop off the stat sheet, but that's okay because when all of a sudden our linebackers are having big games, especially between Rocco and Chase Hogue, it's a lot of that is because of what the defensive line is doing in front of them and enabling them to make clean reads and pursue and get to the football. And, Rocco the other night, it was his best all-around game as a Mustang in the 3 years he's really been playing varsity football, because not only did he have like 250 yards rushing and 3 touchdowns, he had 7 tackles in the game. I think there were 3 TFLs in there, 2 sacks, and he had a hit to end the first half on their quarterback when they were trying to throw the ball, with like 6 seconds left. That really was kind of like an explanation point on the end of the first half. Really gave our team a lot of energy heading into the locker room at halftime.
Yeah, at that point, it was pretty much, all right, how many more points can you put up and how fast can that second half go? That's the exclamation point that I got up from the booth once I saw that hit to end the half. So I have a few highlights for you and the viewing folks out there tonight. We'll start out with, I mentioned Jake Blum before, this is the touchdown. Midway through the second quarter, just a tremendous catch over the defender's back and helmet.
Yeah, we wanted a little play action. It was right after a turnover, and we wanted to capitalize on that momentum shift right there, and just did a little play action off of it. And Jake did a great job. The D-back has nice coverage on this, closes in on, but ball's a little short on it. And Jake comes back, and I don't know how he caught the ball. I really thought the ball was going to get knocked out of his hands. But Jake has great hand-eye coordination. He's very strong with his possession on catches, and did a nice job to haul that in for a touchdown.
Yeah, I think I said it on the broadcast. I don't know how in the world he caught that football. And again, I think that really took the air out of whatever was left in the tires of Holmdel in that game. So, again, tremendous catch. And then I'll move on to, this is right before the end of the half, before Rocco's hit, but this is his touchdown run. Again, just a toss out to the left, and he just does what he does.
Yeah, I think we held them on a 4th down there, and they gave us the ball midfield, and we were just going to run the clock on the half right there, and just decided to go with a little toss play to the outside, and great job of blocking downfield, as you can see. All the green jerseys leading the way for Rocco, and it just made it a lot easier for Rocco. I mean, it's a great play by Rocco with the running of it, but the amount of people who are engaged in blocks downfield is what makes that play work.
I'll skip ahead to the second half, and I got to give him credit for this one. Andrew Gilman, first touchdown of the year, and again, this is really what put the game. The game was almost away right here, but this one pretty much clinched it halfway through the third quarter.
Yeah, we were. It was a 3rd and long situation right there. Andrew's been battling sickness for a big part of the season. He's been in and out of the lineup kind of, and he's another guy, like the last couple of weeks, he's really coming into his own, and he's a tight end that we really need in this offense because he's a big kid, strong kid. It's getting better and better with his blocking skills, and he was a split end a couple of seasons ago. Even last year, he was a split end who saw significant time at the varsity level, backing up Jamie Tyson. And, we wanted to move him into tight end this year. I know he wasn't really gung-ho about that idea of moving inside because sometimes the tight end's a glorified offensive tackle in our offense. But I promised him we would try to throw the ball to him if he moved into tight end. And he gives us a lot of flexibility with what he can do athletically. And it was nice to see him have a nice, a couple very good weeks back and forth, and then to have that nice little catch right there for a touchdown, his first varsity touchdown.
Yeah, he certainly makes an impact on defense. So it was nice to see what he does on offense come to fruition right there. Now, one more highlight was towards the end of the game. How about your backup quarterback, Jack Doherty? What a throw right here. Luke Kerrigan, I almost lost it in the booth. There's a minute to go, and I know Holmdel was calling a few timeouts right there, so you guys had to air it out, and that's one of the best throws I've seen all season long.
Yeah, we were, we had our JV in, and Holmdel still had their varsity guys in there, get a first down just to kill the clock. And it was a 4th down play, and I just told the JV guys, if you got to throw a fade, throw a fade, And he threw the ball, put it in a good spot, and Luke Kerrigan made a tremendous catch on their starting cornerback. And right after that, we just took the knee.
Yeah, I like that. Here's another look at that throw again. And I think that might have been Jack's first completion of the years. I know usually when he's in, you guys are just kind of running out the clock right there. So it was nice to see that he was able to really air one out right there. So, Coach, we'll transition to Friday now as we look ahead to the sectional final, Group 3 in South Jersey. Seneca's 8-3. They're coming in hot. I believe this is their third straight year in a sectional final as well, same as you guys. They're looking for their first crown, though. They upset number 1 Hopewell Valley, which is a bit of a surprise because they were beat by them, I believe, by 23 earlier in the year. So, again, just looking at the film over the last couple of days, first impressions of Seneca, and again, they're coming in hungry looking for that title.
Yeah, they're a scrappy team. You look at their record, you look at the prestige their program has. This is their third straight sectional final, also coming off 3 great seasons. And like you said before, Hopewell took it to them a little bit like midway point of the season, and Hopewell's being the number 1 seed, and they go up to Hopewell and avenge an earlier loss and pull the win, and a tight game at the very end. I mean, Hopewell had a chance late in the game to at least tie the game to force it to go to overtime, and they held their ground on it. But to add to that, the week before that, they came back against Timber Creek. Timber Creek got off right away with a lead in that game, and they came back to win that football game. The week before that, they held in tough against Willingboro and beat them. So they're a scrappy football team. They got some good players. Number 1 who plays outside linebacker, cornerback, linebacker, split end, slot receiver, carries the football. He pops off the film. He's a great athlete. Their quarterback's only a sophomore, and he's a scrappy kid. He runs the ball tough. He throws the ball around. He's good at hitting his receivers, the back out of the backfield, and the little screens they run. They got some size on the offensive line, with themselves, and they know how to win, and like we tell our kids, every round you get deeper into the playoffs, the teams get that much better. And we're expecting it to be a battle on Friday night. This team's not coming here just to lay down. They're coming here to win a championship just like we are. So we expect nothing but the best from Seneca on Friday night.
Yeah, the wide receiver, split end, defensive back, basically everything. Jack of all trades that you were referring to is Jamar Worthen. He's a senior, reeling in almost 700 yards this year, 9 touchdowns. And again, he's carried the ball 40 times this year, and one of their leading tacklers, I believe, as well, right around 80 tackles or around that area. And their quarterback, which I was very curious about this because your defense played so well against the dual threat last week. Anthony Tirico, you mentioned before, just a sophomore for Seneca, but he was really impressive based on all the results that I was seeing on Friday when they beat Hopewell Valley. And so when you look at Tirico, Coach, again, another dual threat quarterback, 1,700 yards. He's run for nearly 1,000. He's got 24 total touchdowns. Are you going to try to defend him the same way as you did last week?
Yeah, well, I mean, the one thing, like when we were talking, over the weekend as a coaching staff, not that they're the same as Holmdel, but they're similar. They have a quarterback run game. Their offense is kind of, I wouldn't say it's centered around it as much as Holmdel's was, but it's part of what they do. So it kind of gives us a little preparation that we're used to seeing that in a way, even though some things are different, the blocking schemes and how they address it and so forth. They're a good football team, but we're going to have to play really well, and we're really going to have to account for the quarterback and what he's able to do because he's dangerous, and he missed a little bit of time earlier in the season. He was out of game, got hurt in the game, and they had to kind of move things around just to stay competitive, and they did that successfully. But he's a player, man. He's only a sophomore, so I can only imagine how good he's going to be in another 2 years of playing varsity football.
Yeah, especially not look way too far ahead. But, of course, if this is a regular playoff opponent for you guys down the line, you could definitely see him again. When you look at their defense, again, they're led by Chase Horner, one of their free safeties, Colin Smith, their linebacker. And then, again, these are guys that play both ways, very similar to how you guys operate offensively and defensively. When you look at their defense, is it pretty much same old, run the old school Mainland wing T, little spread concepts? How do you attack their defense?
They're a good football team. You can tell they're well coached. When you look at players and how they play their positions, it really says a lot about the coaching staff. And sometimes you just see kids out there and they're just running around. There's no continuity in what they do. They don't line up the same way twice. When you look at Seneca, they're not that type of team. They're well coached. You can see that. They know what they're supposed to do, what, the game plan, whatever game plan it is for that opponent, you can see it's being executed to the best of their abilities. They have some size up front with their defensive tackles. Their two inside guys are very big. Like I said before, number one, he's all over the place. Some games he's playing corner. Some days he's playing outside linebacker. Sometimes he's lined up at safety. Against Timber Creek in the second half, they put him at inside linebacker and blitzed them almost every play to disrupt their offense. And they're aggressive to the football. They're very aggressive to the football. They're quick to the football. And that's the thing that pops off the tape when you're watching them from an offensive standpoint. And, we just have to be prepared for that, and we have to be able to counter what they're doing. So that's been our game plan emphasis this week is what can we do, to nullify, how good they are defensively. They don't give up a ton of points.
This is more of a program question because over the last 2 years, you guys went on the road to Middletown North, won a sectional title, and had your payback against Millville last year at their place, won a sectional title, of course, en route to the state title. This year, you guys do get a home game finally for that sectional final. And again, you weren't the number one seed, but you got a little lucky on the other side of the bracket, ended up getting a home game. I got to imagine the guys who have been in this, especially the seniors who have been over these last two playoff runs, they're like, wow, we could finally host one of these big games and hopefully hold up a trophy in the middle of the corral on Friday night.
Yeah, it's been a long time. 2008 was the last time we hosted a sectional championship. Like you said, we've been on the road the last couple of seasons for those games. And, there's nothing better, I've said this before, than playing at home at the Mustang Corral, just the way our fans are, the turnout from our community and everything. And I'm sure, Seneca is going to travel very well for a championship game also. So I'm expecting their stands to be packed, as well. But it's nice to be at home. There's a comfort level there. I think everybody wants to play at home, and that's why you try to do your best during the season to get as high of a seed as possible so you can have as many home playoff games as possible so you don't have to hit the road. Because, when you hit the road, you have to account for the travel, and loading the buses and all the stuff you have to take with you to that game. And you really have to be very well organized and structured with that and everything down to the minute. And it takes a lot of planning, even though you do this every year when you travel for away games and stuff like that. When you hit the playoffs, there's a little bit more because sometimes you're traveling a lot further too. And you have to account for that. And then you got to put in, when you get there, everybody's got to at least use the bathroom. Then you got to get taped up, and then you got to go out for specials. So you got to plan all that, and you kind of got to go from kickoff and work backwards from there. And then sometimes, it all depends what time the game is and how long the ride's going to be. If you got to get out of school early, and do you have to feed the kids? There's all those things. And, when you play at home, you can cross half the list off. You don't have to worry about that. And that's the beauty of playing at home. Not only do we love playing at home at our own place, but it just brings that comfort level, and that, not that you're not stressed out about the game itself, but that's one less thing you got to worry about.
What does it mean to you in the program, considering you just alluded to it? 2008 was the last time you guys did host a championship game, and now, not to look too far ahead, but there is still a possibility that this is not the last home game. Should you guys win, you could host a state semifinal now, state championships. While it'd be great if they were at somebody's home stadium, but of course they're going to be up at Rutgers and MetLife. But you guys could host another game. But in the event that you don't have a home game next week, regardless of the result, what does it mean for you in this program to say we could host a trophy up here in our home stadium for the first time, in almost 2 decades?
Yeah, it would mean a lot to do that. I can remember back in '97 when we won the first one at home. We beat Toms River South, and that was the third year in a row we won a sectional title back then. And one of our coaches, Teddy Gogol, who coaches our secondary, he was a member of all three of those teams. He started as a sophomore and right through it. And, I still remember that day and just the crowd and everybody rushing the field and stuff like that. And then we didn't host again for another 11 years or whatever it was until 2008. And that was against Southern, a very tough Southern team coached by Coach Donahue. Yeah. And, that was a 21-7, very cold day. I remember it was gray. And if the game was 5 quarters, they might have beaten us. We hung on to win that. We were up 21-0. We hung on to win that game. But it's the same thing. I just remember I have a picture on my wall behind me holding one of my daughters. She was little at the time, after the game. And I just remember the crowd. I think when I look back on those games when you can win at home, just the amount of people that are there, your home support, your community is there. All the little kids that play in your youth programs are there. And, when you're on the road, I mean, I always think we travel well, especially in the playoffs. I mean, last year at Winslow, it looked like it was a home game for Mainland, up there at Winslow. And, but there's something else to be said when you're home, because that means more people can come,
Yeah.
and it's fun, when you're on the road, and, thanks to you guys and what you do with broadcasting and other places to do the streaming and stuff like that. A lot of people might not want to take that ride, and they'll sit at home in the comfort of their house and be warm and cozy and just watch it on TV. But when it's at home, people feel like they need to be there. They want to be part of it, and see a good football game. And that's most of the championship games are always great football games. I'm sure it's going to be the same way on Friday night.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. It's going to be a good one against Seneca. Again, they're in their third straight sectional final, as are you guys. Something's got to give. Either, someone's going to advance to the state semifinals, and of course the other sectional final in Central Jersey Group 3 is number 1 Somerville. They're hosting number 7 Delsey, which really doesn't feel like a 7 seed. So, Coach Grant, good luck on Friday. Depending upon what happens, of course, on Friday, we will talk about what happens next week. And again, sectional final 6 p.m. at the Corral. Should be a special one.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Nick. I really appreciate it. And, we're looking forward to seeing all the Corral crazies and Mustang faithful wearing their green on Friday night.
Could almost make it a green out on Friday. Sectional final, Seneca at Mainland, South Jersey Group 3, title on the line, 6 p.m. on Friday at the Corral. It's the Chuck Smith Show right here on Cape Atlantic Live, presented by Ulmer's Appliance Service.